Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, the 7th day of Iyar, and we are continuing the journey that the Alter Rebbe leads us and guides us how to achieve connection, feelings, love to Hashem, the fear, the awe of Hashem, and how this is achievable even to people that are not necessarily in a high spiritual level to be able to understand and great understanding or to contemplate the greatness of God, but even simple folks like us. And that is the subject of this chapter Mem Vav 46, where the Alter Rebbe tells us that there is the method of Kamayim apanim el apanim, kein leiv ha'adam el ha'adam, just like the reflection of your face in the water. The face reflects the face. You see the reflection of your face. You smile, it smiles back. And so too, says the Alter Rebbe, King Solomon teaches us that the nature of the human being is that the heart of a person feels the heart of the other person. If you have a feeling of love towards one person, the other person will feel it. And that is even if the people are equals. And that is even if you don't do anything about it. You just have a feeling of love in your heart. So much more so if you show the love. If you show love to another person, that so much more so it brings out the love, the corresponding love in the other person. And then the Alter Rebbe said that this is true by people that are on equal levels. But think about then, it gives us a whole understanding, a whole vision of the visual of a king, a person that are not in the same level, and a person of a very high level, a king, not just a regular king, but a king of a great king, a mighty king, a king of many countries. And he comes down and he attends to a person that is so down, so low, in a dirty place, and is despised, and is nothing to himself, and yet the king comes by himself and he attends to that person and he lifts him up from the dirty place and he brings him home to his palace, and he doesn't tell his ministers to do it. He wants to do it by himself. The king himself attends to that person. He brings him to his palace and he brings him to the most intimate rooms, a room inside the room, and there he kisses him and hugs him and he shows him so much love. So this imagery of the king that shows so much love to a simple person, to a simpleton, a person who is in such a low level, how much love would that person feel towards the king? It'll be the Alter Rebbe's words is that even if his heart is made out of stone, it will melt with love towards the benevolent king. So says the Alter Rebbe, that's exactly what we need to understand. And he brings the details of what we see in the metaphor with the king, that exactly the same thing, and much, much more so, did God do to us, the Jewish people. Why much, much more so? So he's talking about when we were in the lowest of the lowest places. We were in Egypt. We were involved in the lowest levels. Idol worshippers, with the dirt, with all the terrible things that we were involved there. And yet Hashem, God himself, came down and he took us out of Egypt. And when we're talking about God, it is much more than when we're talking about, the distance, the gap between the person and the king is obviously much more when we're talking about God, because the greatness of God is something which is beyond imagination. And yet Hashem comes down and he attends to us, to the Jewish people, and he gives us the hugs and the kisses. What are the hugs? What are the hugs? What are the kisses? He brings us to the intimate place. What is this? It is the Torah that he gives us. It is the mitzvahs that he gives us. When we study the Torah, we understand, we study God's logic, God's will, which is all one with Hashem, as we explained earlier in the chapters. You cannot separate God and his wisdom. It's him and his wisdom are one. And yet it brings this down so that we can understand. The kisses, the words that we utter, the words of Torah. When the kisses of the mouth to mouth, our mouth speaks the words of God. All of this is an unbelievable gift that Hashem gives us. So when you think about this, that you don't need much great spiritual levels to be able to appreciate that. All you need is to realize the reality, that this is the real thing. This is what Hashem comes down to us, and simple things to think about, which leads you to understand and develop the feeling of love to Hashem. So let's continue inside what the Alter Rebbe explains, and we're going to start from yesterday, being that it was Shabbos, and continue with today's class. Says the Alter Rebbe in yesterday's shir, that was from Shabbos, 6th of Iyar. והנה, ככל הדברים האלה, ככל החיזיון הזה, in a manner corresponding to every detail, to the said figure and image, what we explained, the example of the king. But to a much greater degree, doubled and redoubled, infinitely more than in the parable, has our God dealt with us. Why is it much more? Because we're talking about the great king, a mighty king. No matter how great the king, there's always a limit. But when we're talking about God, the greatness of God, there is no limit. For his greatness is beyond comprehension. And he pervades all worlds and encompasses, meaning he transcends all worlds. This is what we explained in length in previous lessons, that there is the light of Hashem that pervades all worlds, that gives us the understanding. He fills the world in a way that we can appreciate that we see the revealed part of godliness, and then there is the Seviv Kalam, the encompassing aspect of Hashem, the way the whole world does not exist in his compared to Hashem himself. He's encompassing, and there's the more intense light that the world is not able to receive in a revealed way. And now, says the Alter Rebbe, from the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, and from our master, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the Ariya Kadosh, there's no ribuy ha'echolois va'elamois ad ein mispar. We know the multitude of hichalot as being the specific levels within each spiritual world. That's called the hichalot, the chambers, the multitude of chambers within each level, which is each world, and the multitude of worlds which are infinite. And of the myriads of angels found in each world, and echalot, countless and without end. So that's when you think about this greatness of Hashem, that all of these worlds, that the spiritual worlds that exist, are endless, countless worlds. Within each world is countless of echalot, the chambers, and myriads upon myriads of angels in each world. And it brings down, it says, the Gemara in HUGGED says, the Talmud brings two verses that seem to be contradicting. one verse that says, Hayesh Mispa Legdudav. It is written, is there any numbering of his regiments of angels? Meaning that suggests that there is no number. That means it's endless, infinite numbers of regiments. Uksiv, then there's another verse that seems to be contradicting. The other verse says, Elef Alfin Yeshamshunei Veriboy Revavon Kadamai Chulu. It is also written thousands, minister, 1,000 times, meaning 1,000,000 ministers unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stand before him. So yes, it is very impressive that many angels, but still there is a number. So it seems to be contradicting. And what is the answer that is given? The answer that is given that yes, in each regiment has a limited number of angels, but the regiments have no limits. That's what the Talmud answers. Meshane elef alfim v'chulu mispagdud echad. The Gemara answers that thousands is the quarter of one regiment. But his regiments are innumerable. So all of this, in any case, what we see, this great, vast amount of the majesty of the kingdom of Hashem, which they're talking about endless regiments of angels, and each regiment has thousands of thousands, millions of angels. And yet, before him, before Hashem, all of them are accounted as nothing at all. And they are nullified in their very existence. And in what way are they nullified, says the Alter Rebbe? Just like one word, just as one word is truly nullified in relation to the essence and being of the articulate soul, the soul that is articulate, that creates the word, obviously has the ability of speaking endlessly. So when one word, compare the one word to the very soul that utters these words, obviously the one word is completely nullified, has no value at all compared to the rest. The ability, the endless ability of speaking. But yet further, he goes further. There is even deeper. While the speech of the soul was still present in the soul's faculty of thought, or in the will and desire of the heart, as has been explained above at length. Early in the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe explains how this is the source, the root. There's the root of the root of the root of the speech. So if it is nullified compared to the immediate source, how much more is it nullified compared to the original source, which is in the thought and in the will, that is literally doesn't have any significance. So too, says the Alter Rebbe, is all of this world, the worlds, the angels, everything is the uttering of Hashem, and therefore, compared to the very existence of Hashem, they are literally completely nullified, as if they're not existing. And we're continuing now in today's lesson, or Sunday, 7th of Iyar. Continues the Alter Rebbe and says, and yet all of these thousands upon thousands of angels, they ask, as we say by the davening every single day, they are asking, where is the place of his glory? What do they answer? The glory of Hashem is right down here in this physical world. That's what Alter Rebbe says. All these angels, They ask, Ayei mekoim kavodai, where is the place of his glory? Ve'oinim, and they answer, Meloi kol haaretz kavodai, the whole physical earth is full of his glory. How is the world filled of his glory? Hey, Israel Amai. Because of his people, that is because his people, Israel. That Hashem, all of these spiritual worlds don't mean anything to Hashem. What is the ultimate goal? What is the ultimate will of the creation of all of the world? Is this physical world, and us, humans, and us, Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, for performing the Torah and the mitzvahs in this physical world, and bring Hashem's glory in this world. Because the Holy One, blessed be He, forsook the higher and the lower creatures that are not the ultimate purpose of His creation, choosing none of them but Israel, His people. And He brought them out from Egypt, the obscurity of the earth, the lowest place of the earth. There's a place of the filth and impurity. So this is just remember the example we used, just like the lowly and disgraceful individual who was raised from the dunghill by the king in person. So the children of Israel were brought forth out of Egypt by the king himself, by God himself. As we say it in the Haggadah, Loi alidei malach, veloi alidei chulu, not through an angel, which is a created being. And angels are from the world of Beria, Yetzirah, or Asiya, the three lower worlds. Elo HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvoidoi uve'atzmoi yorad l'sham. So it wasn't through the angels, wasn't through a messenger, but the Holy One, blessed be He, Himself, in His glory, He descended here in this world. As it is written, and I have descended to save him from the hand of the Egyptians. So Hashem Himself, God Himself, descended by Himself to go and elevate and save the Jewish people. And what did He do then? In order to bring them near to Him in true closeness and unity, with a real attachment of soul, v'izkashrus hanefesh mamash. God created, not only saved us, He brought us close to Him with a real, true attachment to Hashem. How? Says the Alter Rebbe, b'bchinas neshikin peh lepeh, on the level of kisses, mouth-to-mouth kisses, ledaber dvar Hashem zu halacha, so that the Jew's mouth united with the mouth of this in the speech of Hashem by uttering the words of God, namely the halacha. When a Jew speaks and studies the words of Torah, his speech is united with the supernal speech in a manner of kisses, mouth to mouth. So this unity, however, is external in comparison with the deeper and more inward union of the spirit to spirit. So the kisses is an external unity. The inner unity is the spirit to spirit. What is the spirit to spirit? It explains. And the fusion of the spirit of man with the spirit of God, namely the comprehension of the Torah and the knowledge of His will and wisdom. The kula chad mamash, because they are truly one. The wisdom of Hashem and God himself is one. It's not separable. So when Hashem gives us the ability to understand his wisdom and his will, we become one with Hashem. So here's the kisses, the mouth to mouth, the speaking. It is the in union of the spirit to spirit, the breath to breath and spirit to spirit, which is the understanding of the Torah. And now he goes on and says, there's also the hugging. What is the hugging? Hashem hugs us. The hugging is the doing of the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs with the physical 248 organs is the hugging that Hashem hugs us. Says the Alter Rebbe, truly one, and also with a form of embrace. Namely, the fulfillment of the positive precepts with the 248 organs. The Ramach Pikudim and Ramach Evorim, the Malka Kaniz Kalael, because the 248 organs are the 248 ordinances, the mitzvahs, commandments, are the 248 organs of the king, as mentioned earlier. V'derech klal nechlokim l'sholosh bechinos, yamin, l'smoil, ve'emtza, she'en chesed, din, v'rachamim. That the mitzvahs in general, these 248 commandments, they are divided to the right. There is mitzvahs that belong to the right, the chesed, there is the mitzvahs that belong to the left, the gvura, and the mitzvahs that are connected with rachamim, the middle, which is the rachamim is mercy. And this idea of the mitzvahs that are divided, this is like the shape of the body. You have the body, the center, you have the right hand and the left hand, and this is how you hug someone, with the body and both arms. Hashem, with these mitzvahs, is hugging us. He says, "Train guf groin vegufa vechulu," the two arms and the body. This is the meaning of the text that we said, Baruch atah Hashem. Any bracha you make, you say, blessed are you, Hashem, that you sanctified us with your mitzvahs. But here, the word Kedeshana has also the meaning of betrothed. When the betrothed, meaning just like when you marry someone, you say, Arei at mekudeshet li, you're betrothed to me. So the same thing is when we do a mitzvah, we say, Hashem betrothed us to him with the mitzvahs. So this is the meaning of the text. And we say, blessed be he who has betrothed us by his commandments. Like a man who betrothed a wife so that she be united with him in a perfect bond. As it is written, and he shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So that's exactly what Hashem did with us. Hashem, so to speak, married us. And the union is a stronger union than it is in a marriage of husband and wife. It says exactly similar to the unity achieved through betrothal, and even infinitely surpassing it. This is the union of the divine soul that is engaged in Torah and commandments, and of the vivifying soul and their garments referred to above, that when they do the mitzvahs, the divine soul is connected with the studying the Torah, the understanding the Torah, the vivifying soul with all of the mitzvahs. So this union with the light of the blessed Ein Sof, that's what the union, this is the love that Hashem shows to us with this special union of every aspect. The love story that is between Hashem and us, He showers upon us love, and He brings us connected, brings us from the bottom and lifts us up, connects us with the deepest, most intimate places with Hashem, with God Himself. So that, if you think about this, certainly your heart will desire to connect to Hashem with love and with feelings and compassion. So this is the end of today's share. Alter Rebbe will continue this tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, continuing this chapter. So thank you for joining. We'll take any questions if anyone has.